Well, hello everybody. Let's see. How do I even start this evening's video? Well, let's just say I was really looking forward to today in the Karen Reed motions hearing. And I noticed that Beverly has seemed to be much more polite and cordial to the defense than she was on the previous pre-motions. And I was thinking, well, okay, so she's, how tired she was getting and all. She's had a break. And also, um, maybe she's read some of the things, where people give their opinions of how she behaved in court. But no, she hadn't changed at all because today, when she became furious, she had to get off that bench. And what I feel is, I mean, I understand that she's going to give the defense time to uh, be able to put something forth for an argument, but I think that the defense could have answered that pretty easy for them if she would have listened to Brennan. He gets up there and, woe is me. I mean, I've watched the whole trial. I've done this, I've done that. Out of the goodness of my heart, I just want Karen Reed to have a fair trial. Everybody deserves a fair trial. I want to say, would you just get lost, buddy? Because I I'm not buying it. Is anybody else buying it? Is anybody else buying that he really gives a flying flip about justice and a fair trial? But Beverly, man, she had to get off there, and then she came back, and she's so mad. And then Brandon gets up there and says, "Oh, wait. It actually was the defense that gave us this." Well, I have a few things to say about that. You see, I see Karen Reed and her defense team. I see her defense team as a reflection of who she is, someone with integrity. The defense doesn't need to pull any bullcorn moves because the Commonwealth has no case. The Commonwealth has no evidence. And the Commonwealth just grasps at all straws and makes all these long drawn out things so that Karen Reed's attorneys have to get paid because they have to go in and file all these motions or answers or whatever. And, Brennan, when you get up there and you're kind of hanging out like you're Mr. Hot to Trot, woe is you, but then, hey, you're actually above reproach. Doesn't it feel like every time you get up there a little bit high on that, don't you worry a bit about falling off that pedestal you build in yourself? The other day when I was talking about this case, in my opinion of everybody on the Commonwealth side, the judicial system, the Supreme Court, Massachusetts, the way y'all do stuff, Canton being so protected, I asked if y'all were inbred, 'cause y'all are sure looking out for each other. What is the deal? How do you get in that circle? How do you get in a protected circle? And I know that that's a thing in Canton because they complain about it at the select board meeting. They complain about the circle of those that are protected. and the outskirts of those that are not. So that's my thought on that. Now, I'm not going to buy it. There is no way that the defense is going to turn something over to the Commonwealth knowing that they're going to get their arse reamed or knowing that they've done something wrong. That's my humble opinion. What I'm guessing that this has something to do with the discovery for this trial. You see, the judge could order them not to speak to the ARCA people in the other trial. But this is a whole new ball game, and they've been released from the federal. They're not on that federal whatever it was that they were hired for. They've been released. That doesn't mean that they didn't keep their information or they didn't. Uh, y'all are crazy. Then he wants to get up there and act like these men who don't know Karen Reed from anybody would stake their reputations on getting up on a stand and lying. You see, the caliber of people that are stepping up for Karen Reed, they're in a class completely unknown to scumbags. It's called truth and honesty. I know that you're supposed to get up there and poke holes in stories. See, it makes me so mad. If you know that you have somebody who's guilty, then get your evidence and stop the games. But when you don't have any evidence, what else do you do? If I was a judge, there were times that I was sitting watching that trial and things would happen. I would be screaming my lungs out at that judge. I'm like, this is not right. This is wrong. One of the things that bothered me was the first trial when Katie McLaughlin testified, and the next day after she had testified, and the defense had been sent a lot of photos to prove that Katie McLaughlin and um, what is it, Albert, the Albert daughter, what is her name? She's got the boyfriend Tristan. She lied about him coming to get her. See, oh gosh, her name doesn't come up very much, but she's somebody who people need to. I mean, come on. But anyway, Caitlin, Albert, and Katie McLaughlin. For Katie McLaughlin is so we're acquaintances. The reason that's so important is because Katie McLaughlin was a friend of Caitlin Albert's. And I've gone to many gatherings where I've had acquaintances there, and I don't pull up next to them for photos. If you're going to catch me in a photo, you're going to catch me with the people that I'm hanging with and talking to. And that's not the people that I don't know. But that's me. And I will say I don't socialize much. Like I I'd love to go to dinner with um Karen Reed and her defense team, but I don't feel I'm in their class either. And I don't, you know, I don't know. I just don't get it. If I was going to be outraged as a judge, I would be outraged at the fact that an officer was found dead on somebody's lawn and nobody bothered to investigate it thoroughly. You see, if Karen Reed was guilty, if that taillight would have been just busted all to smithereens the way they say it was, they'd have taken a picture. If and the other thing I thought of too was, it's not just asking the Alberts, "Wow, Chloe didn't wake you up when Karen Reed was running around that front yard screaming." What about when John O'Keefe was injured. No matter what the injury was, no matter how it was happening, the dog would have alerted to that. It's been all this time, and I just now thought of that. That dog would have been going crazy from the time that man was put on that front yard until all those people left. This not dog's not gonna settle down. There's danger. They understand danger. They have a sense like humans don't. They understand death. Their senses are just completely different than ours. So at least we know that the judge can be very emotional, thinking that she's got something against the defense. I just believe in the defense team, and I'm figuring that she's going to have her bubble busted on next Tuesday because I don't think it's going to be this big old humongous bombshell. Well, I know it's not. That can't be because I just know that Karen Reed's defense team has integrity. If you listened to the interview that she did, that's one of the things that they spoke about was the fact that Karen Reed is involved with every decision that's made. This is her case. This is her life. And honestly, she has nothing else to do with her time at this moment than to dig into anything and everything that will exonerate her. It's like, so I'm, listening to the juror. I did watch the juror's interview, and I'm gonna do a video with that because he was interesting. Um, gave you a lot of thought about, and I'm not saying this ugly. I'm saying this. It made me, because I'm sitting here, I'm listening to this juror, and I'm thinking, wow. I mean, didn't you have a problem with the investigation being so shoddy? And wow, how was Jennifer McCabe texting Karen Reed when Karen Reed was already back at One Meadows while Jennifer McCabe was texting, pretending like she was out front? That time stuck with me. There is no way at 12:45 Jennifer McCabe was texting John O'Keefe thinking he was out front in Karen Reed's car because Karen Reed's car wasn't there. He was already back at One Meadows. And what was it, the 12:42? I kinda got a feeling she wasn't there by then either. I don't remember at 12:40 what she said, but at 12:31 when she said, wasn't it 12:31 when she said, "Pull up behind me"? So, what we have, and I've gotta find the exact timeline because it is within moments, but I did remember those. Commonwealth people are lying. That's that right there. You're done. You're done. And I would have been able to argue that if I would have been on the jury because I was flabbergasted about it. I'm like, there's the whole case right there. And that was pretty much in the beginning. I was like, well, what are we doing here? Let alone the fact of how did you get this past the grand jury? I'm never going to understand that. In Massachusetts, I used to want to go visit there, but I'm telling you what, if you can get arrested and tried and on trial for murder because you might say something wrong when you're in complete hysterics and when you're in complete shock and something may come out of your mouth that doesn't make sense to somebody, and a few days later the police come up and say, hey, we heard this. Of course it wasn't a few days later, it was just a couple hours later that they went after her. They pegged it on her, pinned it on the girl. The guy never came in the house. And I don't think the jury understood that it is not the defense's job to prove who did it. Their job is to prove Karen Reed did not do it. And they were they what they need to make it very clear are, we don't know what happened to John O'Keefe. The Commonwealth doesn't know what happened to John O'Keefe. But we do know that our client, Karen Reed, did not hit John O'Keefe. And therefore, that means something else happened to him. We don't know. We're just taking a guess. For example, look at his arm. His arm looks like he's been attacked by a dog. Where did that happen? When did that come in? Where was Karen when that was going on? And then he got a blow to the head that incapacitated him the moment it was rendered. That's by the Commonwealth's expert. So either John O'Keefe was hit where he stood, or he was hit elsewhere and put where he laid, because she didn't back into him. She couldn't have thrown him in the air, and he couldn't have done a pirouette, and she couldn't have been driving crazy like that. Nobody could have gone that fast. Shoulda run her ass right into that house. Excuse my language, I didn't mean to say that word. Arse maybe, but I'm trying to really my little 3-year-old granddaughter, if I say something, man, she just flew right on it. Not that she's talking a whole lot. She's not really. We've got her in speech, and she does scream at the top of her lungs when she is talking, but if there's a word you do not want her to say, that's the one she's gonna pick up today, so, I'm really watching it. She seems to copy everything people do. She really likes copying Nana, though. It's like we're kindred spirits or something. It's so cute. Just love her. Now I forgot what I was saying about the trial. I'm sorry. Got off on a tangent. But that's my thought today. I have faith in the integrity of Karen Reed and her entire defense team. And Brennan, the other thing is, okay, so the Commonwealth on the first trial, it was, in all honesty, I felt like it was a trial against the McAlberts or the McCabe's, the Alberts against Karen Reed. Who's right, who's wrong? Because it was arguing over a 1227 Google search, a 22740 second AM Google search that Jennifer McCabe did on her phone, and then it just vanished. The people on the jury thought it was trying to just kinda deter them from the facts, which I didn't understand. They didn't see it as, "Wait a minute, why would Jennifer McCabe at 2:27 and 40 seconds be Googling 'House Long to Die in Cold'?" And then hours later, John O'Keefe is found out dying, almost dead, in the cold. How did John's body get there? Just a lot of questions. There was no investigation. I mean, the Commonwealth has a theory. This state, and maybe I am naive, but really, how many people get tried based on a theory with no evidence? What evidence they do have, in my opinion, is so compromised, it should be tossed the heck out. In what decade would it be acceptable for the investigating officer to take possession of the deceased man's clothing, toss it in his car, ride around with it a few days before he took it in and laid it out to dry. And nobody has a problem with that. Anybody could have touched it. Anybody could have done anything they wanted to it. How do you not swab the arm? How do you not, as an investigating officer that's in the, you're in there with the doctor. How do you not say, "What is this, doc?" And she's like, "I don't know. Could you get me a swab of it?" I think you can ask for that. I'm pretty sure you can. Thought it was supposed to be a together deal. But what they had is at that moment, I have no doubt that already, well, they had already talked. No, who knows? I can't keep up with their lies. And if Jennifer McCabe, when she's on trial, I mean, when she's on the stand on the next trial, I really hope Alan Jackson just asks her questions and not say, "On this trial you said this," or "On this trial you said that." Just ask her the questions so she can't ask to see the paper so she can give you the answer she gave. Ask the question as to what it was she said, did, or saw. Because if you're not, if she definitely is at a very big loss if you don't let her look at the papers, okay? That was evident. Can I see? I mean, other than being a complete arse that she was. But the stuff that matters, Beverly didn't even care about. I would have been absolutely appalled. I'd have been furious. I'd have been furious. I mean, no, I have no legal education. I have no legal anything. I'm just an interested person in true crime and I'm an interested person in justice. My blinders have been off for a little while. I never really particularly cared for attorneys or judges, but I do tend to respect officers of the court and officers of the law, but not in this group. There's nobody on a Commonwealth side yet that I've seen that even hints that they may even have just a minute amount of integrity. None. So I got a feeling that as we're watching this trial go on, Brennan's going to be whining, you know, because he just came on board and his disadvantage. There should not be outstanding evidence from 3 years ago to be given to the defense. The only outstanding evidence should be if you've come up with something new. That I mean, really? Beverly Cannone has no problem sitting there while they talk about a disappearing video, the library link that was given. Oh, and she keeps asking about when did you ask for it all to be preserved? Now, I would just think that that's just part of the job, that you have to preserve it all. You shouldn't have to request that the Commonwealth preserve any evidence. The Commonwealth should hungrily be grabbing and sharing every ounce of evidence they can find. And instead, they didn't get in trouble during the middle of the trial for bringing in that, inverted video.
Yes, on the motion, I have Mr. Lally, a motion for preservation of evidence. Have you had a chance to review it?
I have, yes, sir.
Do you have any objection to it?
I do not, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. I'll allow that.
Can I have a date, please?
And just to be clear for the record, with regard to that motion being allowed, Judge, I would ask that it be effective with the court's signature with regard to previous reports that have been filed and anything that's been gathered, and certainly going forward. There should be no destruction of notes going forward in this investigation.
Well, it speaks for itself.
Yes.
It's a preservation of evidence. I just signed it. It's 10:22 a.m. on February 2nd. That's when it's effective.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. In terms of the next date, could I have Mark?
They thought that was gonna win the case. Here, we'll show you. We'll show you there's no damage. Just a second, I'm thirsty. We're gonna show you folks there's no damage. Nobody's run that tail light. And then the next day, when it came to light that this was, oh, well, yeah, it's just reversed. The judge had no problem with that. The judge has no problem that they keep getting these little snippets of a video that for 3 years the defense has been begging for. I really wish the tow truck driver would have dusted off the snow and taken photos to show damage or lack of damage to the vehicle before he towed it in a storm so that he couldn't be blamed for any damage. But I guess they don't do that in Massachusetts. So I don't know about the rest of you, but I watched that case. It angered me to no end. I believe in the defense. And I'll be honest, most of the time I'm on the side of the prosecution in most of the trials that I watch, because that's where all the evidence tends to just fall. Y'all have no evidence. I mean, I just, y'all don't have any evidence. I don't understand how it's even happening. I honestly don't. I don't get it. I don't get it. I'm in awe. So if anybody would like to explain to me, help me understand, because I'm really I'm not stupid. But help me understand how did this get past the grand jury? How are we even here? I've been asking that since the middle of the trial. The middle of the trial, I'm like, what in the world are you people doing? You have no evidence against this woman. And whatever the Commonwealth said, the defense was able to debunk or able to make you see that, no, you painted it wrong, dude. You painted it wrong. But yet the jury thought the defense was misleading and the prosecution was telling the truth. That's because so many people just automatically agree with the prosecution. But once you've been watching the trial, once you've sat in that room and you listen to the lack of investigation into his death, how can you have any respect or trust in those people? I do not understand. I don't. So, those are Nana's thoughts on what happened today. I'm guessing that I really shouldn't call the judicial system and law enforcement and all those yahoos on that side, the Commonwealth. Guess I shouldn't call them inbred. That's probably kind of rude, right? Inept is a good word. They're inept. They lie. They have no integrity. All of them need training. Everybody that was involved in this case on the Canton Police Department, the DA's office, the state troopers, they need to have their badges and guns taken from them because they're not deserving of them. And I think it's really wrong that we'll never know about the investigation into Trooper Proctor. I think that any law enforcement person that's under investigation, once it's over, I think that ought to be public. We should be able to know. If not, they can just take their sorry attitude elsewhere and sell it to the next county that wants them. They can always find a group of the good old boys. But that just may be my I just I can't believe that the law allows this. And I guess I'm just wrong in my thought process because I just think you got to have some hard evidence before you take somebody's life and put them behind bars for the rest of theirs. And if the um, jury thought that, well, okay, she was drinking, she drove, he was drinking, they were both there, she got home, but he's dead. Um, I just don't get it because even his Apple Health data showed him enter the house. Well, not enter the house, but walked 80 steps or whatever the amount was. And then Lally gets up there and tries to discredit Apple Health by saying, "Well, we know that doesn't work because when John O'Keefe was already deceased, his Apple Health data was still tracking steps or whatever." Well, yeah, it was in Proctor's pocket, but you're gonna have to spell out, well, the Apple Health data was correct for Officer John O'Keefe. Once Officer John O'Keefe passed away, his phone was moving all about because instead of being secured in an evidence bag, it was in an officer's pocket. There we go with chain of evidence, right? And that's another thing. Beverly Cannone doesn't have a problem that they don't have an evidence log. Doesn't everybody have an evidence log? I mean, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever. No evidence log. And quite frankly, watching those videos of when they were moving the lot supposedly, or when the pictures were being taken after they had already messed everything up. Um, that's what gets me. Yeah, all this time passed. The very first thing that person did that was inspecting that car for damages or whatever had to take pictures. But before they got there, it was busted out because they had to put the red plastic pieces on the people's lawn. Because, heck, the first group of officers, even though they used miraculous ideas like a leaf blower, never found any evidence. Did y'all see the pictures? There was no red in that snow. There was no red to be seen. And they themselves said they didn't sit, and they sure as heck would have stumbled over a tennis shoe if they used their feet to clear the way. Huh. It's just none of it makes sense. But y'all remember, dog had to have been upset for a long time. As long as Officer John O'Keefe was out there, that dog would not have been resting. Wouldn't have been happy and it wouldn't have been quiet. I could be a little off on that because I'm just going by pretty much country dogs. Just going by their instincts, what I know of their instincts. I don't have a PhD in that. And trying to bring, I was really, really hoping to get to hear the argument that the defense was going to make against this special person about dogs because dog behavior don't have crap to do with whether or not the arm of Officer John O'Keefe had been attacked by a dog or a wolf or whatever. You know, wondered did the wildlife get to him? What got to him? What happened to him? And he looked like he'd been beat up. But the blow to the head incapacitating him, that stuck with me so much because that means that once he has sustained that head injury, he never moved again. He couldn't have moved again, not unless somebody moved him. Spell it out like that for the people that don't maybe, and it gets so confusing because they're so busy trying to clear the McAlbers and the McCabe's that they're giving all this time and effort into whether they Googled this or Googled that or, they spent more time and money trying to prove Jennifer McCabe did not Google "house long to die in cold" than they spent on the entire investigation, I bet. And, oh, you wanna talk about some thorough investigation. Don't forget duck, them ducks out there. That was some bad business right there, them ducks. You know, the ones that said, "Colin did it." Colin did what? Sure he did. Free Karen Reed, FKR. Yeah, free Karen Reed. That's how we all feel. If you know, you know. That was on the other one. They investigated that, spent a lot of time, money, and manpower on that. And nobody in Massachusetts seems to give a flying flip about all this BS. I can't say the word that Emily D. Baker says all the time, but starts with an F and ends with a uri. Yeah, shut the front door, I guess. It's just I don't get it. I don't because all these things infuriate me. All these things show me just how crooked you people are. And for the jury to not see it, this behavior is just kind of accepted. I'm guessing, or they don't understand that what they're seeing from these people is wrong. I don't know the ages of the people in the jury. I don't, but if this is what we're coming to, this is scary for me because that means that you attorneys need to step it down and explain it real thoroughly to put the doubt in their mind. You can't just give them an example. You have to say, well, I don't know. Could it have been this? Because it wasn't Karen Reed. Well, I don't know. What is this? Because it wasn't Karen Reed. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But my thought on today is keep having faith because the defense team has integrity. They have integrity. You know, my heart's broken. I don't understand why the FBI didn't get a little more involved. Oh, FBI, let me just say, Beverly Cannone, give me a break. Judge, you don't know what the Sandra Birchmore case has to do with this? You're going to allow, and you did allow, Trooper Garino to testify as an expert. Matter of fact, he was allowed to give his opinion of Green. He was allowed to say how he didn't think he knew what he was talking about. I think that the jury is allowed to know that Trooper Garino, he just couldn't even find, what was it? It was over 30,000 deleted emails between Sandra Birchmore and her killer. And Officer Garino, he missed that somehow. The jury needs to know what kind of an expert he really is. Because how can he say anything about Mr. Green? And how can he say anything to convince me that he knows what he's talking about? And don't forget, they were all given information without a hash to accommodate it. Oh, and that's the other thing that got me today. Are you serious? Are you serious that the defense attorney is having to ask for the digital footprints? Give me all the digital footprints. I don't know all the terminology. That was just the easiest one for me. But yeah, there's tracking, and we would know if it had been changed. Because, see, we do know that the inverted video was most likely manipulated because the time isn't backwards, right? Or does it, are they fixed? I don't know. I personally don't think that's how it was recorded, but I was sitting here in my house and could tell it was wrong. It was facing the wrong way, that they were on the opposite side. I knew that before the next day. I was one of those people going, "Why didn't people throw a fit?" And then the next day it came out and they're like, "Holy cow." And the Commonwealth just like, "Well, I mean, it's just reversed." They were ready. They knew what they were doing, and they were hoping to not get caught. Really? They really hoped the defense wouldn't catch that. I mean, it even shows they don't even have very good thought process. But so I just think that Brennan, you know, the way that the people think in Massachusetts, they'll probably like Brennan and believe him because he's just, after all, so ethical. After all, Brennan just wants to do the right thing while you slither across a slimy, slimy slope. I don't know how all you people sleep at night. I'm sure you all take a lot of joy in knowing that Karen Reed sleeps with a bag ready at any time for y'all to come haul her away. What a way to have to live, especially knowing you're innocent. Hmm. Yeah, and impeachment stuff. Hey, I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't. Apparently, I guess, according to some attorneys, that's a real thing. According to other attorneys, it's like not. So, if somebody gets on the stand and they lie, I don't think you should have to say that you're going to use something if they say this, because you don't know if you're going to use it or not, because you don't know if they're going to say that. And at some point, you have to be able to let people show what people are doing. But no, you're just gonna keep on protecting them. I understand. I understand. So, until Tuesday, we won't know. But just have faith, believe in them. I know I do. I have faith and I believe in them. And I just don't believe that her defense team would do anything to compromise their standing because they stand on integrity. They're fighting for the rights of Karen Reed and any other person that may ever go on trial in that area again. And I hope they're able to make some changes so at least John O'Keefe didn't die in vain and Karen Reed hadn't gone through all of this for nothing. There has to be changes coming that will help people. This has to have a meaning behind it for John O'Keefe and Karen Reed both. So let's wait till Tuesday. I'll see if I can get my opinions out on Judge Janine and the jury interview. Well, maybe. It's pretty self explanatory, I think, but I may have some things to say about it. I'm glad I was able to get on here and chit chat. I hope y'all enjoyed it and have a good night, and we'll talk to you another day.